Now, many African nations experience challenges with the onset of rapid urbanization. But how do we reimagine cities so that they can successfully serve the needs of their expanding populations? Well, the World Bank is hosting experts in spatial organization, including Harvard economics professor Edward Glaeser. And he's been speaking to our Washington correspondent Ryntjes on the issue.
Density is the heart of what cities are. Cities are the absence of physical space between people. And when cities grow, they typically densify. Now, density just means more people crowding into a particular area of land. Now, you see around you a developed Western city that is densified in a particular way, building up in well-established corridors, typically around public transportation access. Now, the cities of sub-Saharan Africa, whether we're talking about Lagos or Nairobi, are densifying as well. But they're densifying in a very different manner, right? Often they're densifying essentially by infilling into previously lower density areas, maybe with a few bungalows. Sometimes the development spills over into roads, creating impassability. Now, I'm a big believer that you can't just take Western solutions and think you're going to graft them onto the needs of African cities. But I think it is important that we ask ourselves whether or not the densification as it's existing in places like Nairobi and Kibera, for example, or in the township of Dunoon in Cape Town, where I was last week, whether or not that's actually the right way for density to proceed. And I think in lots of cases, the right answer is something that looks a little bit more like a hybrid, maybe using more prefabricated housing in various different forms that are potentially stackable. More density that enables the people who want to come to cities to experience those cities, to experience the magic that often comes when you're able to connect with other people in urban areas, to work with other areas, to find opportunity, to find hope, but it does so in a way that it respects the institutional and economic realities on the ground in African cities.
Now, we are going to go through a period of unprecedented growth in populations in Africa. What do you envisage happening if the way that people plan or don't plan these cities doesn't change? What impact will that have on ordinary people?
What it'll mean is longer commutes, contagious disease, right? Just as much as two ideas a person can share ideas in face-to-face contact, they can also share bacteria, right? And unless we have the structures of safety, right, meaning, good sanitation, decent flow of water, more kids will die who don't need to die. And if we have settlements, townships that are built too far away from where the jobs are, in ways that don't enable relatively fast minibus transportation or other forms of public transit, we're going to see uncountably valuable hours wasted by the people who come to cities sitting in traffic, being unable to get to jobs, and their kids will grow up in areas that may be in the midst of a great city, but may seem completely isolated from the strengths of that city.
What's one key takeaway that you think people should understand about how to change the way that they think about this issue?
We need to enable, in some cases, whole urban spaces to change. So, an existing low-income area that's low density and shacks may need to grow up. But in order to do this, we need to have a good definition of some degree of property ownership for the people who live there so that they can benefit from the transformation. And I think the goal is to see how many of those actual rights we can give to the residents of African townships and African cities. And it's really an agenda which is about empowering the current residents in order to make the changes that can make their lives and their cities stronger, more effective.
Now, there has been a lot of interest by China, by the United States, by European countries and others to invest in Africa. Do you think that investment can help to address these issues, or is it largely being ignored?
Well, I think, cities should be willing to take whatever investment they can get, as long as they can understand that they get to write the rules. And they need to make sure that the rules around that investment are done in such a way that it benefits Africans rather than just benefiting outside investors. So by all means, look, cities are supposed to be conduits across continents, across civilizations, across cultures. That's a job that cities have been playing for millennia, right? African cities in particular have been doing this for hundreds of years in different places, and they need to keep on doing this. So they can't become closed. They can't say that foreigners can't come in, but they need to make sure that the rules are being set in a way that is fair and effective for the Africans who live in those cities.